My name is Jade Mitchell. I'm 41 years old, a master plumber in Portland, Oregon. I fix broken pipes for a living. Back then, I thought I was fixing something much bigger, a broken family. Turns out, I was just funding one. 8 years ago, when I was 33, I met Daniel Harper. He was 31, freshly divorced, with 3 children, Carter, 13, Bella, 11, Aiden, 9. Daniel had this quiet steadiness about him, not flashy, not loud, but when he looked at you, you felt chosen. I mistook that for depth. I mistook it for gratitude. He and the kids were squeezed into a crumbling duplex in southeast Portland. The landlord never fixed the heating. Paint peeled off the window frames. His ex-wife, Rachel Harper, was already 4 months behind on child support. Again. I was renting a modest 2-bedroom apartment downtown and saving to buy a house. I'd worked 60-hour weeks for years, crawled under sinks, dug trenches in the rain. I had money saved and no one to share it with. After 10 months of dating, I made what I thought was the most romantic decision of my life. I found a 4-bedroom colonial in the Riverside School District. Big yard, finished basement, quiet street. I'll handle the down payment and mortgage, I told Daniel. You cover groceries and day-to-day stuff. We'll build something together. He looked at me like I'd just handed him oxygen. The kids were ecstatic. Carter wanted space for a gaming setup. Bella dreamed about an art corner. Aiden just wanted a backyard big enough to kick a soccer ball without hitting a fence. I spent weeks getting everything perfect. I built Carter a custom desk, painted Bella's craft room lavender, installed a reading nook under Aiden's window with soft lights and floating shelves. I wanted them to feel safe. For the first year, it felt like I'd done it. School pickups, science fairs, soccer practices. I taught Carter how to fix a leaking faucet. Bella and I stayed up until midnight finishing her solar system project. Aiden used to call me Jay. It was soft, affectionate. I never tried to replace Rachel. She saw them sporadically, canceled often. I just showed up. That was my mistake. Because somewhere around year 2, the thank yous stopped. Carter started shrugging when I bought him things. Bella rolled her eyes when I offered help. Aiden stopped calling me Jay. It became Jade. Flat. Distant. I mentioned it to Daniel. They're adjusting, he said. Teenagers test boundaries. But boundaries imply someone is enforcing them. By year 3, I was invisible in public introductions. It's me, my dad, my brother, and my sister, Carter would say. At soccer games, he introduced Daniel proudly. I stood 5 feet away, holding the water bottles. I kept giving anyway. Bella wanted to join an elite art academy downtown. I wrote the check. Aiden needed a reading specialist. I found the best one in Portland and paid weekly. Carter's Honda Civic died senior year. I spent an entire Saturday rebuilding the engine in our driveway while he complained about the smell of oil. Daniel started making excuses. They're loyal to their mom. Rachel fills their heads. But Rachel was barely around. I was the one packing lunches. The one at parent-teacher conferences. The one fixing the furnace at midnight. Thanksgiving was the first crack that echoed. Daniel's mother came over. We were halfway through dinner when Aiden said casually, "Jade's not really family. She's more like Dad's helper." The table went silent. But no one corrected him. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling fan, spinning shadows across the walls I'd paid for. Christmas, I spent $800 on each kid. Carter opened his gaming laptop and frowned. This isn't the exact model I wanted. Bella looked at her art supplies. I guess this is fine. Aiden held up his boxed book collection. Did you keep the receipts? Daniel pulled me aside. You're trying too hard, he whispered. They can sense desperation. Desperation, for one, but I wasn't ready to give up. I told myself love was patient. Love endured. I didn't realize yet that some foundations aren't meant to hold weight. And 2 years ago, Daniel proposed. I said yes before he even finished the sentence. Part of me believed a ring would anchor everything. That standing in front of friends and family, saying vows, signing papers, it would shift something fundamental in the house. Make it official. make me permanent. I thought permanence earned belonging. I was wrong again. The wedding was small but elegant. Riverside Country Club. Early autumn lights spilling gold across the lawn. I wore a fitted ivory gown, simple, understated. Daniel looked proud. The kids participated. Carter walked me down the aisle when my father couldn't travel. Bella carried a bouquet. Aiden held the rings. From the outside, we looked whole, but wholeness can be staged. During the reception, I stepped away to grab a glass of water. That's when I heard Bella talking to her cousin near the dessert table. "Yeah, Dad married Jade," she said casually. "She pays for everything, so I guess it makes sense. Not she loves us, not she's good to us, just she pays for everything." I stood there longer than I should have. Something in my chest tightened. Not sharp, not loud, just slow and heavy, like a door closing. But I still hoped. After our honeymoon in Hawaii, I suggested we sit down as a family. "Let's talk about what this means," I said. "Ground rules, expectations, respect." Carter didn't even let me finish. "Just because you married our dad doesn't mean you're our mom." Bella nodded immediately. "Rachel is our mom. You're just Jade." And then Aiden, sweet, quiet Aiden, delivered the sentence that would echo for years. "You're nice and everything, but you're not really family. You're more like Dad's assistant." Dad's assistant. I waited for Daniel to say something, anything. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Guys, that's not necessary." Not necessary. Not wrong. That night, lying next to my new husband, I felt more alone than I ever had as a single woman in a one-bedroom apartment. Marriage didn't make me family. It made me permanent help. Over the next few months, the tone in the house shifted completely. "Jade, can you drive me to Ashley's?" "Jade, my sink's clogged." "Jade, I need money for movies." Never please. Never thank you. Just expectation. I started noticing something else, too. Daniel never corrected them. Not once. If I asked Carter to put his phone away at dinner, Daniel would murmur, "Let it go." If Bella snapped at me, he'd say, "She's emotional." If Aiden ignored me entirely, Daniel would shrug. He's shy. I began documenting everything. At first, it was just habit. Invoices, receipts, mortgage payments. I've always been organized. But slowly it became something else. Protection, mortgage, $3,200 monthly, utilities, groceries, car insurance for Carter, art academy tuition for Bella, tutoring sessions for Aiden, phone plans, streaming services, clothing, gas. Over 6 years, the number reached nearly $350,000. Not counting the down payment, not counting my labor, not counting the years of emotional investment. I didn't track it to hold it over their heads. I tracked it because I could feel something unraveling, and I needed proof that I wasn't crazy. 3 months ago, everything changed. I came home early from a job site in Beaverton. I'd forgotten a specialized pipe wrench and figured I'd grab it before traffic got worse. The kids didn't hear me come in. They were in the kitchen, laughing over bowls of mac and cheese and microwaved Hot Pockets. Carter's voice carried first. "Jade acts like she's our mom or something. It's embarrassing." Bella laughed. "Right? Like, you married our dad. Congrats. You're not special." Aiden added, "She thinks she owns this house. Like we should be grateful she exists." Carter snorted. "She needs to know her place. This is our house, our family. She just pays the bills." Bella said it next, like a punchline. "She's lucky Dad lets her stick around." And then they laughed. Not cruel, not vicious, casual, like I was a running joke. I stood in the hallway of the house I paid for, listening to children I had loved for 6 years reduce me to a transaction. Something inside me didn't break. It died. There's a difference. Broken things hope to be repaired. Dead things don't. I quietly walked back out to my truck and drove around Lake Oswego for nearly 2 hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just thought. When I came home, I was perfectly normal. I asked Carter about soccer, helped Bella edit an essay, reviewed Aiden's reading exercises. I smiled. Inside, I was done. Over the next few weeks, I started recording conversations, not to trap them, but to protect myself. If things escalated, I needed clarity, and they did escalate. The breaking point came on an ordinary Tuesday. Daniel was working late. It was just me and the kids. I picked up their favorite Chipotle bowls and quesadillas, hoping, stupidly, that maybe effort still mattered. "So," I said, sitting down, "how was everyone's day?" "Fine," Carter muttered without looking up from his phone. "Can you put the phone away during dinner?" He looked at me slowly, like I'd insulted him. "You're not my mom. You don't get to tell me what to do." Bella jumped in. "Yeah, Jade, just because you live here doesn't mean you make the rules." Then Aiden said it. Calm. Certain. "This isn't even your house. It's ours. You need to remember your place." "My place." The words settled heavily on the table between us. Carter smirked. "You're just Dad's wife. That's it." Bella crossed her arms. "We already have a mom." Aiden added softly, "You're just here." I looked at each of them, at the faces I had memorized over 6 years, and felt something crystal clear form inside me. "You're right," I said quietly. "I do need to know my place." And for the first time, I meant it. I set my fork down carefully, not dramatically, not angrily, just deliberately. "You're right," I repeated softly. "I do need to know my place." They went back to eating, thinking they'd won some invisible argument. Carter smirked and picked his phone back up. Bella shrugged. Aiden didn't even look at me. I stood up, walked to my office, and closed the door. For a long moment, I just stood there, staring at the desk I'd assembled the week we moved in. The printer hummed faintly when I turned it on. I opened the spreadsheet I'd been updating for years. Mortgage payments, utilities, insurance, groceries, school tuition, car repairs, medical copays, art academy, tutoring, streaming subscriptions, phone plans. 6 years, $350,000, not including the down payment. Not including weekends spent under sinks, fixing leaks no one else even noticed. I hit print. The machine began spitting out paper, page after page after page. The sound was steady, mechanical, final. When it finished, I organized everything into binders, tabbed, dated, categorized. Then I called my lawyer. "Thomas Henderson," he answered. "It's Jade," I said. "I need to discuss selling my share of the house." There was a pause. "That serious?" "Yes." "Do you want to explain?" I stared at the closed office door. I finally figured out my place. When Daniel came home that night, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the binders stacked neatly in front of me. He looked tired. "What's all this?" "We need to talk." He knew immediately. His shoulders stiffened. What happened? Instead of answering, I pulled out my phone and pressed play. The recording from that afternoon filled the room. She needs to know her place. She just pays the bills. She's lucky Dad lets her stick around. Daniel's face drained of color as his children's voices echoed back at him. When it ended, the silence was thick. "Jade, they're kids," he said quietly. "Teenagers say stupid things." "For 6 years?" I asked. He ran a hand through his hair. "They don't mean it like that." "How do they mean it, Daniel?" He didn't have an answer. I slid the binders toward him. "These are copies of every expense I've covered since we moved in together." He looked down at the tabs. "Why would you keep track of that?" "Because I knew one day I'd need to." He flipped through pages. His breathing changed as the totals grew. "I'm selling my half of the house," I said calmly. "You can buy me out, or we put it on the market." He blinked. "You can't be serious." "I've already spoken to Thomas." "Jade, you're overreacting." "No," I replied evenly. "I'm respecting their wishes." He stared at me. "They don't see me as family. They've made that clear for years. I won't force myself into a place I'm not wanted." "What about us?" he asked. I held his gaze. "Did you ever once correct them? Did you ever say, 'That's your stepmother. She deserves respect'? Did you ever choose me in those moments?" His silence was my answer. "I'm removing my name from everything," I continued. "Utilities will transfer to you, insurance, phone plans, streaming services, all of it." "You're abandoning us," he whispered. "I'm stepping back into the role they assigned me," I said. "The one who just pays the bills." The unraveling was immediate. Within 3 days, the Wi-Fi shut off. Carter stormed into the living room. "What happened to the internet?" "You'd have to ask your dad," I replied. Bella came home furious when her art academy emailed about unpaid tuition. Aiden burst into tears when his tutoring sessions were canceled. Car insurance lapsed the following week. Carter's tone shifted fast. "Jade, this is crazy. We didn't mean it like that." "Yes, you did." He ran a hand through his hair, the same nervous gesture as his father. "We were joking." It didn't sound like a joke. Bella tried a different tactic. Tears. "We're sorry. Please don't do this." "Sorry for what?" I asked gently. For what we said." "And what exactly did you say?" She couldn't answer. Aiden stood in a doorway, eyes red. "I didn't know you were keeping track of money," he said softly. "That feels mean." Even now, I was the villain. Daniel tried bargaining. "We'll set boundaries," he promised. "Family therapy, ground rules. I'll talk to them." "You've had 6 years to talk to them." 2 weeks later, I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in the Pearl District. Just me. My tools. Silence. The house sold quickly. Without my income, Daniel couldn't manage the $3,200 mortgage. He and the kids moved into his sister's place in Gresham. Rachel, their biological mother, was suddenly unavailable more often than ever. Reality is loud when the safety net disappears. Over the next few months, I received letters. Carter wrote first. "I didn't realize how much you did for us." Bella sent a card. "I took you for granted." Aiden mailed a drawing, stick figures in front of a house. "I'm sorry," written in purple crayon. I stared at that one for a long time, but none of them said the words that mattered. Not, "We treated you like you didn't belong." Not, "We hurt you." They were sorry I left. They weren't sorry for why I left, so I didn't respond. Because for the first time in 6 years, I understood something clearly. Love without respect is just charity. And I was done donating. 6 months after I moved out, Daniel texted me. "Rachel can't handle them. Carter's failing junior year. Bella quit art. Aiden cries every night. They need stability. They need you." I stared at the screen for a long time. Need. Such a convenient word. I typed back slowly. They made it very clear I wasn't their family. Nothing's changed. He called 3 times that night. I didn't answer. Over the next few weeks, he left voicemails. "Jade, please. They're struggling." "Jade, I should have handled things differently. You're stronger than this. Stronger than this." As if walking away hadn't required every ounce of strength I had, I blocked his number. Not out of anger, out of survival. The quiet in my apartment became something sacred. No slam doors, no eye rolls, no conversations that shrank me. Just peace. A year later, I met Michael Lawson at a coffee shop in Northwest Portland. He was a contractor, divorced, no kids. He asked about my work and actually listened. When I spoke, he didn't interrupt. When I paid for coffee, he thanked me, like it mattered. It felt unfamiliar. Being seen. We moved slowly, intentionally. The first time he introduced me to his friends, he said, "This is Jade. She's the hardest working woman I know." No hesitation, no qualifiers, just pride. We're getting married next spring at Multnomah Falls. Sometimes I still see Daniel at Whole Foods. He looks older, thinner, tired. We nod politely. We don't speak. Through mutual friends, I've heard pieces of the aftermath. Carter dropped out of high school and works at a warehouse in Tigard. Bella's at McDonald's, living at home. Aiden's seeing a counselor and struggling academically. Do I feel something when I hear that? Of course, I loved those kids, but love doesn't erase reality. Last week, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. "Hello?" There was a pause. "Jade, it's Carter." His voice was deeper, older, less arrogant. I wanted to apologize, for real this time. I leaned back in my chair. "For what?" I asked quietly. "For everything. For how we treated you. I get it now. You did a lot for us." I waited. There it was again. A lot. Financial. Practical. Surface level. I didn't just do a lot, I said. I loved you. Silence. Then he continued. Mom's struggling. Rachel hasn't paid child support in 8 months. We're all kind of drowning. There it was. The undertow. I was wondering if maybe we could meet for coffee. Talk about things. Backup plan. Safety net. I closed my eyes for a second. Carter, I appreciate the call. I do. But I'm not the emergency contact you dial when things fall apart. That's not what this is, he insisted. Isn't it? He exhaled slowly. We were kids. You were old enough to understand what respect meant. We didn't realize. You realized enough to tell me to know my place. The line went quiet. I was 13, he said softly. And I was 35, I replied. Paying your car insurance, fixing your engine, sitting in the bleachers. Another pause. I'm sorry, he said again. This time, it sounded closer to the truth. And for a moment, just a moment, my heart softened. But growth doesn't mean reopening doors that nearly destroyed you. I hope you build something stable for yourself, I told him. I truly do. But I can't be your foundation anymore. He didn't argue. I understand, he said. I hung up gently. Not angry, not bitter. Just resolved. Because here's what I finally learned. You can't love someone into respecting you. You can't sacrifice your way into belonging. And you can't buy a place in someone's heart. They had 2 parents. One who drifted in and out, and one who stayed silent when I was diminished. They chose loyalty to blood over loyalty to effort. And that was their right. But choosing myself was mine. Sometimes, late at night, I think about 12-year-old Aiden telling me I needed to know my place in the house I paid for. He was right. I did need to know my place. It just wasn't there. My place is with someone who doesn't measure my worth by what I provide. My place is in a home where respect isn't negotiable. My place is beside a man who doesn't stay silent when I'm dismissed. My name is Jade Mitchell. I finally know exactly where I belong, and it's nowhere I have to beg to be family.